Living with Lolita, grab a notebook and a pen. It's not about where you start, but how you end. There is no topic that can't be discussed. This platform is open, no need to hush.
Hey y'all, it's your girl Lolita and welcome to another episode of Living with Lolita. Today we have a special guest here. She goes by the name of Tiana Walker.
Hi.
Hey there. I'm so proud of her and I'm so happy that she is here today. She is actually the voice of the intro and outro for Living with Lolita. She is also the CEO of Stitches Glam Experience. And she is an author, y'all. She wrote a book, Married But Single, out on Amazon right now. Make sure you go get that, okay?
Go get your copy, please.
Absolutely. I have my copy. Make sure you go get yours. But today we're going to discuss divorce. We're going to discuss the effects before, during, and after. So we're just going to jump right into it.
Thank you so much for the invitation. It's beautiful.
Girl, of course. Mi casa y su casa, sister.
Okay.
But yeah, we're just going to jump right into this divorce talk, okay? So when did you realize that you wanted to be married?
Very young. I remember I would write in notes or journal, write in my little diary. That's what they were called. Just things that I wanted to happen for my life.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of them. Because I knew that I was just not going to be somebody's girlfriend forever. I wasn't okay being a side piece. I wasn't okay just going along with, we're going to be locked in and I'm going to be loyal to you and you out here doing, nah.
Yeah.
I wanted the dream. Raise my kids, cook, clean, and all of that came with it. You know what I'm saying? It was always the heart's desires.
Yeah. I think for me, that was not really my heart's desire. I mean, I wanted to be married, but if I wasn't, then I was totally fine with that. But when I became married, I actually had a great example. My mom and my dad, who were married for 20 something years. I can't remember. Sorry, Dad. But I can't remember the exact amount of years, but they were married for a very long time. And during that time, I saw my mom cook and clean and take care of her children, take care of her family, take care of her husband. I'm not saying she was perfect, but she was doing everything so right. I was like, oh, when I do get married, or if I get married, I have something. I basically have an example to go off of. So when I became married, that's what I did. I cooked, I cleaned, I took care of my kids, took care of my husband. I took care of household things down to making his appointments. Literally if he wasn't sitting at the table with us to eat dinner, I would make his plate and bring it to him. I would go back and get his plate and, until I was like, hey, on Sundays, you need to at least be sitting with us. You know what I'm saying? But I knew that wasn't normal. I knew it wasn't normal for us to be separated, but in the same home together, but I still was doing what I saw my mom do and cook, clean, did all of my wifely duties, all of my wifely duties, if you know what I mean. So did you have an example growing up?
So growing up, in my family, people were married, but people did not have a successful marriage, meaning they didn't stay married for a long time, or they're not still married. So I had family members that got divorced or still divorced. And so I mimicked what I saw. I took what I could take from those and I adapted it and made it my own. But I didn't come from a lineage of successful, thriving families. You know what I mean? And I thought in my mind, I'm like, oh, I'm going to be the generational curse breaker because in my marriage, we going to last forever because I didn't get married for a divorce. I didn't start something and quit.
Right.
And if you know me in real life, I'm very aggressive. So anything I put my mind to, I'm like, oh, I'm going to finish it. No matter how long it takes me to finish it, I'm going to finish it.
It's going to happen.
Yeah, because I just wasn't created to quit on anything. But there's a thin line between... sometimes we're guilty of leaving too soon and staying too long.
Yeah.
And I was guilty of staying too long. Not paying attention to what was really happening, or maybe being ignorant because of what I wanted to happen. Sometimes we disregard what we see. We ignore the red flags. For real. We ignore the red flags because of what we want to happen.
Well, speaking of the red flags, did you see them sooner in the marriage, or was it more towards like the middle or the end? Like, when did you know, first of all, like something wasn't right?
Okay, let me go to this. When me and my ex-husband got married, we were young. So we were young, and then we were young in a marriage. So growing individually and growing collectively. Did I see the red flags? Yes. But at the time, you're looking at stuff and you're like, oh, this just, you're not where you are now to where you can really identify things for what they are. You're looking at things from, oh, he got this, but I still love him.
Yeah.
Or he got that, but that's my dude.
Child.
You get what I'm saying? Because when you're not whole, we tend to paint pictures based on what we want them to be and not what they really are.
Right.
And we allow false hope, you know what I'm saying, to set, rest, root, and abide in situations when reality and common sense needs to lead.
Yeah, and I totally understand what you're saying. I think in my marriage, I wasn't appreciated, first of all. You know, I wasn't appreciated. So there were things that maybe, they were like little things in the beginning, but then more towards the middle and the end is when I started feeling like, okay, I'm really not appreciated. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm doing all this stuff. I feel like I'm here just because I'm a pretty face. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have me doing all this stuff, but you're not treating me the way I feel like I need to be treated as a wife. You know what I'm saying? And then on top of that, we were doing a lot of arguing. Like, a lot of arguing. I wasn't happy. I know he wasn't happy. And I know that my kids weren't happy. You know what I'm saying? I feel like they saw more than they should have seen. And I do regret that. I do regret that. Because I'm not going to blame it all on him and be like, oh, this was all just him. You know, I played my part. You know what I'm saying? I was, you know, slamming doors and yelling and screaming and throwing stuff. Like, I played my part. You know what I'm saying? But I also know that was very unhealthy for them. And my breaking point was all of the infidelity that I found at the end. Like, I may have known something towards the middle, but everything that I found out at the end, I'm like, yeah, nah, I can't do this no more. Like, I can't do this. And I'm not even getting treated right on top of that. I mean, at least cheat on me and treat me right. You know what I'm saying? It was like I was getting treated mean. I was getting dogged. You know what I'm saying? And then when it was time to apologize, it was like, oh, let me buy you this or whatever, you know, and it was going to make everything okay. But I was just like, no, I can't do this no more. Like, I cannot do this anymore. And then I chose to leave. And that was the best decision I feel like I could have made. I didn't have any regrets for leaving the marriage. Although, like you said, I didn't get married to get a divorce. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to stay married, of course. You know, I was married for 11 years. I wanted to stay married. You know, I thought, look, hey, I'm about to get married and this is how it's going to be forever and ever and ever, amen. You know what I'm saying? But it didn't work like that. And at this point, I'm okay with it. But the struggle was real after the divorce. How did you feel after your divorce? Like, were you struggling mentally, emotionally, financially, like spiritually? Like, how was that working for you?
So how I felt originally was, dang, like, it's real. Like, I finally did it. I finally chose myself because he didn't choose me. I finally chose myself. Because I suffered with infidelity as well. But the last straw for me was like, you're not about to have an affair. And like, this, like, you playing with me. You know what I'm saying? So I struggled too with, dang, what did I do to cause this? Because when you're dealing with a narcissist or whatever, sometimes they're good at painting pictures. Like, I did this because of you, or da-da-da-da-da. So you go through that phase, but then it was this day I would never forget. The kids were at school, and I was in my apartment at the time, and I was just talking to God, and I, like, cried out because I was like, God, the way I feel, I know I did the right thing, but I still shouldn't feel this way. Because it's like, now he living his grand life, but I have to deal with the responsibilities of my children. And I, you know, life after a divorce is not over, but it's a little hard. It's rough, and that's the thing that nobody prepares you for. Right. Because I'm like, how am I gonna do it? You know what I'm saying? At the time, I don't even think I was working. I didn't have a lot of money saved because I knew that this was about to happen, but I wasn't prepared for it. It was something that, like, I knew I had to do. Yeah. So I didn't have like a big nest egg, you know what I'm saying? And I'm normally in charge. Like, I like to plan, but this was one season of my life outside of this one where God is in complete control. So I didn't have anything to fall back on. It was literally like, God, what you gonna do? Like, how am I gonna maintain? And then I literally was like, yo, I really don't care what he does. I'm gonna worry about me and mine. And literally, it was a one day at a time for me. You know, and some days was better than the others. Some days I probably cried more than I could do anything else. Like, my appetite was going up and down just because it was like, I knew I was already married but single. I was doing it by myself, but now I'm really doing it by myself. Like, this person is not coming here and taking showers and going to sleep. This person is really gone. And this is what my new normal looks like. And then I was like, dang, I want to be in a relationship again. Eventually, who gonna want me and 4 kids? You know, you kind of deal with that because, you know, you have these children with this person thinking like you're going to be with this person forever. And to the wrong person, it could look like your children are baggage. You know, because who wants a woman with all these children that they didn't have? But then I was like, bro, like, the man that God has for me, he's going to love and adore my children regardless. So then that went out of the window. It was literally just an embarrassment because for me, mine was a messy situation. Like, this person had did so much with so many different people, but the last person was just a lot. So it was like, dang, it wasn't something I was able to do in silence. Everybody knew about it. Everybody seen certain things. So it was like, dang, the chatter at one point seemed louder than who God was to me, because it was like their noise was louder than his. I was like, God, I'm gonna need you to silence the noise so I can really hear what you're saying. I need to really know what you want me to do in this season, because sometimes that's the biggest thing. You can deal with whatever, but when it's a level of embarrassment and like your stuff is on a monitor where everybody knows about it, it's kind of like, dang.
I know. Yeah, no, I get it. I get it. I think that when I left, there on my side was really no hard feelings. Like, I already came to terms with it beforehand. Like, yeah, I do want this divorce, but I don't want it to be hard feelings because we have these children, you know what I'm saying? And although the 2 older ones are not his, I was like, you know, I still would like everybody to have, you know, a relationship, you know what I'm saying? So when I left, like I said, I was under the impression that it was going to be, we were going to work it out as far as co-parenting. You know what I'm saying? And we were going to be able to at least be cordial with each other, because I really don't want to argue with people. I don't want to continuously argue with the same person. Somebody who I know, he's going to have to be in my life. Like, we still have kids right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, younger kids. And I don't want to keep arguing. Like, that's not my goal. I didn't leave so that I could take the kids away from you. I still want you to have, you know, a relationship with them. But then I also feel like you push me to a point of no return almost. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have to keep you so far away. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I only have to talk to you through text, that's all I want to do at this point, because you can't be trusted. Not for what you did during the marriage, because I don't care about that anymore. I definitely put that, you know, past, because I know that I made the right decision by leaving. But I feel like, so the last straw for me was I was going to leave, or I was going to leave. I actually was leaving, and I tried to go back to the house, and an argument ensued. And a weapon was pulled out. From that moment, I knew all bets were off. You know, like, we can't be friends. We can't be cordial. We can't, like, it's so hard. But I knew that I still had to forgive. I knew that he still was going to have to be in my life. Although, look, my life could have been gone. You know, my kids could be without a mother, or I could have been without my son because he was there that day, my older son. Or I could have been without my sister because she was there also. You know what I'm saying? I didn't feel like certain things had to get to that point. Because I wasn't doing that to him. And I didn't know really why that was happening. Like, why that was happening. So when you talk about being in a relationship with a narcissist, you know, they make you seem like it's your fault. Because even in that situation, it was made to seem like it was my fault or my son's fault. You know what I'm saying? Or my sister's fault. But not your fault. For almost, because you definitely could have hurt someone, and then this would have been a totally different story. I may not be here talking to y'all today. My son may not be here today. My sister may not be here today. But it's like, we have to move on. Everybody has to move on in this situation. You know what I'm saying? Even him. He has to move on in this situation. So I do hope that at some point we can be cordial and stay just cordial, no matter what happened in the past.
And that's a level of just accountability.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because, like, me and my ex, we're not together. Like, we're not together. Regardless of what he's done, I have genuinely, completely forgiven him.
Mm-hmm.
We can coexist, co-parent, whatever we need to do for our children. We're not enemies. I wish him well.
Mm-hmm.
His well is just not with me.
Exactly.
But sometimes the other person, in your case, like, if he's having a hard time letting go, that's something that he's going to have to come to men's with God on his own. That has nothing to do with you, but I get it.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you keep giving people chance after chance after chance, and they keep showing you who they really are, you forgive them, but you have to move accordingly.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's wisdom.
But it's like the constant forgiveness that you have to give. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can forgive you for this, and we can move on for a couple months, and then something else happens that we could have probably very well just discussed and moved on, but instead you do something so nasty. Like, it's, you know, at one point after I left, CPS was called to my house.
Mm-hmm.
They knocked at my door at 11 o'clock at night while me and my kids were there because
of his shenanigans.
Right. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, dang, did you really have to do that though? Like, why did you do that? You know what I'm saying? So I just felt like, well, I'm not gonna lie, I'll be transparent again. I called the police to his house one time, and I did that because my daughter kept missing school. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, well, what is going on? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's going on over there? And, you know, that day I was like, okay, well, put your clothes on. I'm going to try to talk to him or whatever, tell him to take you to school or whatever. Whatever happened in that house is whatever happened in that house. She didn't go to school. I tried to call afterwards. She wasn't answering the phone. So then I got nervous because I'm like, you know what I'm saying? I think for me, it was things were replaying in my head. You know what I'm saying? I don't want anything bad to happen over there. Absolutely. To him, to any of my children. You know what I'm saying? Because I would never forgive myself. You know what I'm saying? I do feel like I am a forgiving person. You know what I'm saying? I may hold a little grudge for a bit, and but I know that that's not, yeah.
But you forgive, and that's something you're going to have to just work on, because you have to forgive, but you don't have to deal. Forgiveness doesn't require reconnection.
Oh, absolutely not.
Just keep your heart and your hands clean, and people are going to be people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I mean, yeah, like I totally get that, and I have come to terms with that too. Like, you know, just because I forgive you for something doesn't mean that we need to be like we used to be. You know what I'm saying? I can still love you from afar. Correct. You know, like at this moment, I will say maybe the last couple of years, because I'm not gonna lie, when I first left and all this stuff was going on, I hated his freaking guts. Okay, hated his guts, and now I've gotten to the point where when I'm praying for him too. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't want him to be so hard. You know what I'm saying? I don't want him to feel like, you know, it's a whole get back situation, or I'm trying to take something from you. That's not my intent. That never was my intent. You know, so I'm gonna go back to when we were married. I was not the best wife, but I was the best that I knew how. You know what I'm saying? I made mistakes. I definitely did. I definitely made mistakes. And I am sorry for those mistakes, you know? But we have to move on. We just have to move on. Like, because I still haven't got an apology for certain things. And I'm not talking about, you know, infidelity type stuff. I'm talking about pulling out a gun on your family. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that's important because we were a part of, like, we were your family. You know what I'm saying? And even after the divorce, you could have still been a part of the family. You still could have been invited to Thanksgivings and Christmases. And, you know, like, we could still be doing all of these things together. And not only me, but my family would be totally fine with that. But you have crossed the line in such a way that it's like the point of no return. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get that.
So, I don't know. Divorce is just hard. It is. And it's especially hard when you have children.
Yeah, and you see a side of a person that you never knew existed.
Right.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Because, I mean, like you said, you weren't the best. You didn't do everything right. Mm-hmm. I didn't think I did everything right. Mm-hmm. Like, I was guilty in my marriage what I feel like started us off wrong. I was the one that initiated something wrong. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So in the beginning of our situation, our marriage, he asked me about who I had relationship with prior to him. It was one particular person. And I was like, no, I ain't have relationships with him, just because I felt like, why do it matter?
Why do all of my business?
But not only that, why do it matter who I had before you or who I was communicating with? that shouldn't matter. But I should have never been dishonest because he did ask.
Yeah.
So when the truth came out, I was like, dang, Tiana, you wrong.
Mm-hmm.
The issue that I had with that is if you genuinely couldn't forgive me for that, you should have left me then.
Yeah.
Don't send me down this roller coaster of you just dogging me out because you feel like, well, she lied to me. I don't know what else she lied about. That don't justify you being no. You know what I'm saying? That don't justify you sliding everybody and doing all of this weird stuff. Because at the end of the day, if you couldn't forgive me, I would have respected that. I mean, I'm not playing it down because, I mean, honestly, if you're going to build a relationship, build it on truth.
Yeah.
And that's why now I've learned my lesson. Like, I'm overly truthful. Like, what you know what I ate last night? I'm going to tell you because...
That was going to be my next question, though. So my next question was going to be, now that the divorce is over, you know, you wipe your hands and you're moving forward, what do you think that you would do different in your next marriage? Because we're still going to get married.
Okay, period.
Okay.
So, honestly, just being vulnerable and being my authentic self. Not that I wasn't before, but I feel like at some point I felt like I couldn't. I felt like it wasn't safe for various reasons. And a lot of times people lie or people omit the truth because they don't feel like the other party can handle it.
Jesus.
Because who wants to tell the truth, right? For it to be thrown in their face if you get upset or if we're having an argument and everything that I was vulnerable with you about, you use it to, you know what I'm saying, to tear me down or destroy me. So moving forward, I've learned, I mean, I'm very honest. I even wrote it in my book. I just communicate, you know, which was something I would just be like, okay, whatever. Even though I knew I wasn't okay with certain things, I just would just keep a lot of stuff in because I didn't want to seem like I was nagging or I always had an issue because that's the image that they try to present to other people about you just because you're trying to communicate your feelings. And stay away from people that try to take your communication as a form of confrontation. Okay, because the truth of the matter is if I can't communicate or articulate my feelings to you, I don't need to be around you. You don't need to be around me. We don't need to be together. So now, like, and this is my sister, okay? So we have a lot of conversations, but I'm like, yo, I did this. It's no shame in my game. I'm not like that with everybody, meaning everybody don't know that level of me.
Yeah.
But I don't go around telling lies. I don't go around being dishonest. You may get a different version of me because that's just the relationship that we have established. But with my new person, when God sends him, I want to just be vulnerable. I want to be in my soft girl era where I can feel comfortable crying if I need to.
Oh, amen, sister. Because these days you be crying.
Because I feel like I've been strong.
All the time.
Yeah, I've been strong.
I'm like, hey, girl, you go, give me a
I don't like it. I've been strong for so long. Like my whole entire life, I've been strong. Like super independent, just super strong. And feeling like, okay, I just got to make something happen because you ain't. And I ain't going to wait around for you to do it, so I'm going to do it. But when my husband comes and he just sweep me off my feet, like I want to be this vulnerable little girl. I want to be a princess. But I want to be a queen and treat him like a king. Like I want to be able to do everything that I couldn't have done or didn't do or didn't get the opportunity to do before.
Or things that you did that you were not.
Yeah, like, and I want to right my wrong too. Like, you know what I'm saying? And it just be different because I know better. I know. And two, because I've been through what I've been through and I've healed and I've grown, it's certain things I just don't like no more. And it's certain things that I didn't like before that I like. I took that time with myself to date myself to figure out what it is that Tiana wants out of life. What is it that I'm going to accomplish? What is it that I'm going to achieve? And like nobody is going to stop that.
Yeah. I think for me, girl, when my husband come, first of all, girl, he better have the ears to listen, okay?
Girl,
because at this point in time, it's like I talk so much, I ask so many questions, and I can tell now, like people that I've tried to date, you know, some of them don't appreciate me asking so many questions, and then they're like, have you ever been interrogated before? And I'm like, no, and they're like, well, that's what it sounds like you asked, but it'd be like just simple things. It's not like
we lawyers for real though. We lawyers. Listen,
ain't been a drop of school, but hey. But I just be like, I just ask a lot of questions, you know what I'm saying? And I want to have open communication. I don't want to feel like I can't talk to my husband, you know what I'm saying? Because he gonna bite my head off, or he gonna be like, dang, why you asking so many questions? Like, I want us to be best friends. I don't just need you just to be my husband, you know what I'm saying? I don't just need you to help me pay bills, or, you know, like what, like, I don't need you just for that. I need you for so much more, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, he definitely needs to have ears to listen. He needs to be communicative as well, you know, because I don't want to be talking to my doggone self, you know what I'm saying? He need to be willing to talk. And I want him to be able to share his feelings just as well as me share my feelings. You know what I'm saying? And I want to be able to still cater to that person. Like, if you're showing up for me, I think that you should be rewarded. You know what I'm saying? So therefore, I want to cater to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want us to have a good life. Not saying this person that I'm going to marry, we're never going to have any bad times. We're never going to have an argument. But we're going to get through that very quickly. Very quickly, we are going to get through it because we're going to work it out, because we're going to talk to each other. We're going to listen to each other. We're going to hear each other. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. Like, I'm definitely looking forward to being able to share certain things with my husband and him being able to share things with me. I just want him to just realize that I'm a package deal. You know what I'm saying? 2 of my children are older, so they're not in the house. But for the 2 that are, like, you know, I need you to embrace them. You know what I'm saying? And then when I have all 4 of them together, I want us to do family things. You know what I'm saying? So I'm excited. I don't care that he has kids. I don't care if he comes with kids. But I want him to be supportive and a protector and, you know, like a provider. And I want to be able to be that same thing, because I'm going to be his little bulldog. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to be the same for him as he's going to be for me. You know what I'm saying? And I am definitely looking forward to that.
Yeah, I like who I've become, like the energy. Cause there was
I like who you became too, girl.
Girl, was a time.
I don't know how we got to where we are right now.
Girl, was a time I was so hard. Like, I would not even cry. I didn't know how to cry. Like, I felt like I had to be strong about everything. And now I just cry. I laugh. Like, I'm just me. Like, I'm free spirit, but I do the right things.
Well, I love that for you, though.
You know, so I need somebody that's going to add to that. I'm not about to be with somebody that's going to damper that. Or, like, you can be all about me, but you can't be insecure.
Yes.
Because it's just so much that I'm trying to do and so much I'm trying to accomplish. And I'm not about to babysit anyone. Like, I just want us to build this empire together.
Yeah. And it's going to happen.
It's going to be beautiful.
It's going to happen so soon, I feel like. I feel like you have definitely worked hard on yourself. I think you're doing a phenomenal job. I think you're going to be an amazing wife. Like, I know you're going to be an amazing wife. And I'm not just saying that because you're like my sister. Like, I'm serious. Like, I do feel like you're going to be amazing. So I just want to thank you for joining me today. Thank you for living with Lolita. I appreciate it, girl.
I had an amazing time. Thank you for the invitation.
Oh, thank you. I love you so much.
Love you more.
But before we conclude, do you want to go ahead and talk about your products a little bit?
Okay, so you guys can go to my website, Stitches Glam Experience, and on there's a couple of options. You can book a consultation. Makeup is available. Hairstyling is available. Styling is available. I do have some cosmetics. That's available as well. Listen, I'm here for it. Any way that you guys support me is definitely greatly appreciated. So thank you again for just being a great audience, and thank you so much for this opportunity.
Girl, anytime, honey, anytime. I will have you back soon.
Okay.
But I love y'all so much. Thank you for living with Lolita. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you soon. Until next time.
Her experience has created a safe place. One time with living with Lolita is all it will take. One time with living with Lolita is all it will take. Living with Lolita, living with Lolita. Living with Lolita is all it will take.